Hi everyone, this is part 2 of our getting started with our new camcorder, Canon XA40. So I'm going to follow the instructions in the user's manual to get started because as I mentioned before, we have never had a camcorder, so we need a lot of instructions. The first thing to do is to get the batteries ready to go, so that's what I'm going to do. And they want me to take this ferrite and our screws. It says attach the ferrite core to the cable about 6 centimeters from the DC plug. Okay, so this is my DC plug, and we are going to attach this 6 centimeters from it. And the way I'm going to do it, let's see if I can. Oh, it's a little bit stiff. Okay. Let's just do this. It's easier. Okay. This is my DC plug. 6 centimeters is about right there. And we just put this. Does it have any directionality? No directionality. So we put this in here, and there we go. Couple of satisfying clicks. Oh, that's kind of loose though. Okay, so that's not quite as intended. So the way to install this ferrite bead, you actually have to loop the cable, the DC cable, the charging cable, twice through here, because otherwise this would be sliding back and forth, and that would defeat the purpose of the ferrite bead, which is to help filter out high frequency interference. And the way to do it is you go through once like that, and then come around the back and try to go side by side as tightly as you can without overlapping. A little bit of overlap is okay. It's not going to hurt anything. And then while you're holding these two ends tightly together, you can clip this back to lock it. And push these together so that they will lock. Come on. And there, one more. There we go. Okay, so there, as you can see, now this ferrite bead is in place, and you will have more protection against high frequency interference. And here's the charger. And of course the charger needs this other cable to connect to the wall socket, or if you're using it in a car or something, then you would have an inverter, and you would use your inverter to plug this in, which is something we plan to do. while we're traveling. That way, as long as the camera is plugged in, it will not use the battery. It will use the power coming from the inverter. So while in the car, if we decide to make some recordings, we won't use any battery power, and our battery will be available for when we are not in the car and walking around. So we plug this in. There's only a one-way plug, and there we have it. This is the charger. So let me see if the battery has any power. Probably should have some power in it, but I'm not sure. We will check it. Okay. Let's take the camera out and install the battery. Okay, here's the connectors. Here's the battery release. And so you hold it back in order to put the battery in here. And you release it to lock the battery in place after the battery is inserted completely. And so, if I remember the power, here's the power button. And I'm gonna turn on the camera. Ta-da! Okay, so we do have power, and it looks green, so we should have complete power now. And so that's good. Let's turn off the camera right now. Okay. Should we install the camera handle? Why not? We'll install everything, and then we will move on to using the camera. So for installing our lens hood here, the first thing we need to do is to take this lens cap off. And I do have a comment about this lens cap, and it's this little imperfection on the side of this lens cap, which I'm disappointed. Canon usually does not do this kind of work, but this is a manufacturing defect. This is where they inject the plastic in order to form this lens cap, and usually this point of injection is a lot smoother. I mean, to me, this is un-Canon like. Anyway, enough of a gripe. So you push these two buttons to remove the lens cap. Try not to touch your lens because you want to keep it as clean as possible. And you turn the camera upside down. There's a marker right here. It may be a little bit hard to see. And on your lens hood, also you have a marker that you align with the marker on the camera. And the markers, after you align the markers, you just twist clockwise until you hear a very soft click, and that installs the lens hood. And if you turn the camera the correct side up, you can see that the word Canon is written inside the lens hood in the correct direction. It's not upside down. And of course, To open it up and use the camera, you press this button down in order to expose the lens to light. And if you push it back up, it closes the hood. I know some people have complained about the fact that Sony has this function automated so that when you turn on the camera, this automatically opens like that. But to me, that's a very minor inconvenience. I know it's cute and good, but yeah, it doesn't bother me. But I can see how some people might be, you know, they might want this functionality that when you turn on the camera, this will open automatically instead of you having to do it manually. I can sympathize with empathize with that, but to me personally, it's okay. So now I'm going to install the microphone holder onto the handle, and it installs with two Phillips screws, and there's only one direction that you can install this, and my suggestion is just to make this snug and not to tighten it too much, because most microphones do not weigh a whole lot, and this equipment is not designed for rough and tumble. This is type of equipment that needs to be used somewhat delicately, and it's not designed for terrible rough and tumble. So just make the screws snug, and you don't need to over tighten it or anything. So yeah, in my opinion, equipment should be used as they are designed for. This equipment is delicate. It's there we go. And here we have the microphone holder connected. And so now I'm going to install this onto the camera. And the direction of it is toward the front of the camera. The microphone goes toward the front. In the front, you have a shoe for holding equipment and instruments and the like, but this is just a passive shoe. It's just for holding things. It doesn't have any electronics connection. The one on the back, on the other hand, as you can see, there's a whole bunch of connectors in there, and so that one is active, and you have an active connection. So before we do that, we have to loosen these screws to allow the movement. There we go. Again, there's no need to use excess force. Gentle working with these things is all you need. So once you push the handle all the way in, and the handle won't move anymore forward with gentle pushing, then you tighten the screws. There's one screw in the front to tighten the front part to the front shoe, and again, just finger tighten. No need to do it excessively. And then you tighten these two screws, one on this side on the back, that one, and we can tighten that. Again, finger tight. No need to overdo things. And the reason I keep emphasizing not to over tighten and not to overdo things is if you want to use your equipment long term and you want your equipment to last, then you have to treat your equipment with respect. You know, I have mentioned this before. This looks like a work of art. Yes, it is an instrument that we will use, and it is useful for our purposes. But at the same time, a lot of engineering, a lot of thought, a lot of do-overs have gone into designing this. And so, yes, it requires respect. It's beautiful. It requires taking care of. And if you do all of those things, take care of it and learn to use it properly, then it should last you for a very long time, and you should be enjoying it for a very long time. Okay, just a quick note on installing the SD cards. The location where they get installed is where the screen is, and it's right here. And there's a lid for it that kind of flips into the camera, and you hear that clicking when it's spring loaded. So just pushing it a little bit, it goes by itself the rest of the way. And again, as I mentioned, if you wish to do a lot of 4K recording, then let me see, I need to tear this plastic. Then it's probably a good investment for you to buy a nice high-speed SD card. And here, in this case, we have SanDisk Extreme Pro, 128 gigabyte and 170 megabytes per second speed. So this one, you take and generally, as much as you can, try not to touch these connectors, because the oils from your skin will get on there, and it can accelerate corrosion, because we may have some salts on our skin, and it can interfere with these connectors making good connections. So in general, as much as you can, do not try not to touch these connectors. That's again, these are my recommendations for long-term use of these devices. And there is a little indicator which shows you where this cut corner should be, and here, as you can see, it's toward the top of the camera, and there's two of them. So just place it in there and push it in until you hear a click, and that one is done. So I'm going to install the second one. Same story. Yeah, again, all of these recommendations may seem like nitpicky and too much fussing, but really, if you want to use your equipment long term, put these among good practices. These are some of the good practices to follow. So again, toward the top, insert until it clicks, and then finally close this lid. So this camera is ready to be used now. The handle is installed, the battery is installed and is charged. The recording media, the SD cards are installed. And so this camera is ready to be used. And that's where we will pick up in our next video.